Uh, Let us start with a prayer. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram
Shankaram
Sutra Bhashya Pranetaru Vedantabja Prabhakarau Vande Parasparatmanau Vadarayana Shankarau. Good evening and a very warm welcome to everyone. I am Manu Kashyap from Advaita Academy. Today we have a very special guest, Professor V. Krishnamurthy ji, who will be speaking on Bhagavad Gita from scratch to peak. We welcome you, sir. Uh, I'll give a brief introduction about Krishnamurthy ji. Professor V. Krishnamurthy ji is a former director of KK Birla Academy, New Delhi, and a former deputy director and professor of mathematics at BITS Pilani for more than 2 decades. He was trained systematically from boyhood in traditional Hindu fashion by his father, Sri R. Vishwanatha Shastrigal, who was a scholarly exponent and a living example of the ideal Hindu way of life. Professor V. Krishnamurthy ji has given numerous lectures known for his precision, clarity, and an irresistible appeal to the modern mind on ancient scriptures like Upanishads, Valmiki Ramayana, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita to Indian and American audiences. He has, to his credit, more than a dozen books covering subjects like mathematics at all levels, Hinduism for the general reader, and Advaita philosophy for the seriously oriented. In this session, Professor V. Krishnamurthy ji will first provide an overview of the rock bottom fundamentals of Vedanta of Sanatana Dharma with appropriate support from Krishna himself from the Gita. Then he would expound upon 4 levels of reality and 4 facets of the self. Finally, he will teach the 4 fundamental maxims of an authentic understanding of the Gita. Viewers, if you have any questions, please post it on the Q&A box and not in the chat box. Krishnamurthy ji will be taking those questions towards the end of this session. Krishnamurthy ji, please start your session.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I welcome all the participants. Om Vagishadya Sumanasaha Sadvarthadam Upakrame Yam Natva Kritakritya Syugutam Namami Gajananam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Paramanandamadavam Sada Shiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yoginam Vishwanathakyam Asmattata Swarupinam Atmalabhat Param Labham Vaktaaram Nakadachana Gita Artha Grantha Katharam Shri Gurum Pranamamyaham Yonta Pravishyame Vacham Dhritim Buddhim Prachodayat Om Namah Sababhya Sabapatibhyascha Vo Namah Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaita Amritavarshnim Bhagavatim Ashtadashathyayanim Ambatva Manusandadami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshnim. Om. Friends, our topic is Bhagavad Gita from scratch to peak. So we are going to start from scratch so that we can de-scratch ourselves. You know what happened before the Gita? In an hour and a half, Krishna brought Arjuna from an extreme negative position to the extreme positive. How did he do that? This is what Gita is about. But in order to understand the Gita, both what was taught to Arjuna and what was intended for us, we have to have some fundamentals. Suppose we are very overly excited about something, positively or negatively. Our conscience tells us, hey, curb your attachment. When we lose our peace because of anger, and Arjuna, of course, lost his peace by compassion, anger or compassion, our conscience tells us not to hate anyone, treat everybody equally. Conscience is nothing but God himself is talking to us. We don't hear it, that's all. We don't listen to it, we don't attach importance to it. But carefully, if you listen, you will know what your conscience tells you. Suppose we are carried away sky high by our own plans. I'm going to buy this villa tomorrow. I'm going to buy another villa in Singapore, like that, like that. You see, we think make all sorts of plans. Whenever we are carried away by our own ego, like this, sky high, we should not forget divinity. God is above. That is what conscience is telling us. Suppose we are in a dilemma as to what to do or what not to do. Conscience tells us, do your duty. Whatever is your duty, that is important. Suppose we are totally helpless, total delusion, then of course our conscience tells us, go and surrender to God. This happens to all of us. I have told you 5 things now. Excitement, because
I think there is some power interruption with Krishnamurti ji's place. He will be back in a minute. Please bear with us. I have spoken to Krishnamurti ji now. He is joining.
are you able to?
Krishnamurti ji, yes, we can hear and
Yeah.
see you. Yeah.
Now
You're audible
I
and
can hear
visible.
you.
Yes.
You are able to hear me. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let me
Please
continue. Sorry, gentlemen, it was the power. Okay, so I told you 5 behavior of the mind, 5 behaviors which are often happens to us, and all these 5 happened to Arjuna right before the beginning of the war. What are the 5? Over excitement with compassion, or in our case it was anger, in his case it was compassion. Excitement, and then ego, because he says, you see, Gandivam Shamsate Hastat. He is so excited that his Gandivam slips from his hand. Kripaya Paraya Vishtaha. He was overcome by total compassion because of his relatives. And then he says, this is the first chapter. Yetam nahamtumichami. I don't want to kill them. Who is he to say that? God is above. He takes care of people, their life and death. He says, Etam nahamtumichami. This is play of ego. Therefore he asks, Yasya Yasyan Nishchitam Bruhitam Me. Second chapter. Karpanya doshopagata svabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammudacheta yaksha yasya. Tell me, Krishna, what is best for me? So this is the dilemma. So he is going to say, do your duty. Dharma sammudacheta karpanya doshopagata svabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammuda. He is totally confused. Dharma sammudacheta. So whenever we are totally confused, the remedy is to surrender to him. So this is why Krishna starts the Gita for him. But before we take up the Gitopadesha, we should see the arguments he used to bring Arjuna back to his duty. But even to understand these 5 arguments, we need 2 rock-bottom fundamentals of Vedanta. So number 1, I am going to tell you 2 rock-bottom fundamentals. So I am starting from scratch. 4 levels of reality. What is real? What is unreal? Totally unreal. Totally. Hare's horn. The hare does not have a horn. So hare's horn is total, non-existing, never existing anywhere. Does not exist anywhere. Also, mathematically, a square circle, it never exists, a square circle, right? Or son of a barren woman. This is a standard example in the entire Vedanta. Vandhya putraha, son of a barren woman. Sky lotus, in the space, how can there be a lotus? It never exists, not at all. Nobody has seen it, nobody will ever see it. It never exists anytime. This is called total unreality. Here, keep it at your left hand. I am going to give you 4. So start with total unreality. It is tucham, nothing. So next is phenomenal reality, subjective reality, temporary reality, apparent reality. You know what it is? Mirror image. Mirror image. It is called in English, in Sanskrit, pratibhasik satya. That was the total unreality was asat. The first thing that Krishna tells Arjuna is to have a distinction between sat and asat. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satam. So for that, there are 4 levels of reality. One is total unreality, which is asat. Next is phenomenal reality, which is a mirror image. Next is ours. It is called vyavaharik satya. Transactional reality. You, me, universe, world, everything, stars, everything is transactional reality. Because of all these things, there will be a time when nothing will be there. But right now we are doing transaction. We have seen the trees, we have seen the buildings, we have seen the universe. So transactional reality, empirical reality, operational reality, all these English words are admissible. Sanskrit is vyavaharik sat. So this is the 3rd column. First column, total unreality. Second column, next level, that is the phenomenal, subjective reality of the mirror image. The next is vyavaharik reality, where you and I doing transactions. Then there is the 4th, permanent, always, ever, past, present, future. That's always there. Total reality. Sat. Sat means total reality. Parabrahman. That is the absolute Brahman. In all situations, exists in the past, present, and future. Never ceases to be present. Nasato vidyate bhavaha. When the so when the sati never ceases to exist. Now, forget the left hand, that is the total unreality. Forget the total reality. Between these 2, there are 2 things. One is phenomenal reality, mirror image, and another is vyavaharik reality, our vyavaharik sat. right? Whatever we are doing, transactional. These two, the middle two, are called mithya in Advaita. In Advaita, these two are called mithya because they are not permanent. They are also not permanent. I may be doing a lecture from the YouTube, and I may myself be listening to the lecture. Now, what I see, that picture on the YouTube, on the TV, that is mithya. Advaita says, hey, the one who is sitting on the sofa and watching your own YouTube, you are also mithya, because you are also going to have some time when you will not be there. So both are mithya. So these are 4 levels of reality. Now, do chart 1.
Krishnamurti ji is facing some power interruptions. Please bear with us. He is joining us back.
Am I visible now? Am I audible?
Yes. Please continue.
Okay, so let me continue. I don't know what you missed. Okay. Chart one. Chart 1 is to be done. Chart on the self. I hope everybody is able to see the chart of the self. No. Yes, chart of the self. Right. So that's what they see. Right. Okay. Now you are able to see what I call the chart of the self on the screen. We are going to take about 20 or 25 minutes to explain this. See carefully. You see, the second point that we have to note is, I am not the body. I am not the body. Then who am I? Standard Ravana's question. Who am I? That is what this chart tells you now, supposed to tell you. So, myself, you say myself, yourself, all those things are there in the first column. First column says common words, ourselves, yourself, myself. Just whatever the BMI, body, mind, intellect, claims as itself, that is it. It is the physical personality, also the psychological personality. Everything is in the first column. Or everything that is associated with the body, mind, intellect is the first column. So I will call it the material self. Material self. Self with a small s. Second column, we have what resides in this material self. What resides? The English Western world will say soul. No, I'm not going to say soul, because soul is a Western word which does not have all the connotations that the real, what I mean, going to mean by soul, that thing means. It is called jiva. So the second column is the jiva. In English, of course, they will call it as myself. My, another word, self. Myself. So my jiva. This self has to be spelled with a small s. It is this that goes to another body after the disappearance of the present BMI. Of course, the jiva, as a jiva, it has an ultimate destination after several births and deaths. Jiva, remember, is a spark of the absolute. Mai Vamsho Jiva Lokaha Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha says the 15th chapter. Chapter 15 of the Gita says, it is my spark from me. Therefore, as a spark, it has got bliss, happiness, and existence. So, this is the spark of the Absolute Supreme. Chapter 15, Shloka 7. Its essence is consciousness, knowledge, bliss. All three things, Sati, Chiti, Ananda. All three are there in the Jiva as an essence. So that essence is called Jivatma. So you can start from beginning. In the left hand, first column, we have material self, what you see outside. In the second column, what resides inside the Jiva. But the Jiva is a spark of the absolute. Its essence is Jivatma, third column. So the third column is the Atma of the second column, or you may call it the first column also. This essence is called Jivatma. This is the third column entry. Because the Jiva is associated with the BMI, so we call sometimes this Jivatma as my Atma. That is anyway a wrong word, but we use it. That is what we mean, right? The Atma is the same for all of us. The Jivatma, my Jivatma and his Jivatma, your Jivatma is all the same. But when in our conversations we say my Atma, his Atma, so on. So that is wrong to call it my Atma. So the third column entry is the self. There is only one self. You see, in the second column, Jiva, there are several selves, all the Jivas. Each one has a Jiva, right? Third column, Jivatma, that is the Atma, the self. So I use a capital S and also use the word the. This is in fact the answer to Ramana's question, Ramana Maharshi's question, who am I? The real self, third column. So now comes the most important, crucial teaching of Hindu Vedanta. What does it say? The Jiva, when I say Jiva, look at the second column. When I say Jivatma, look at the third column. When I say material self, first column. So the second column, Jiva, which resides in our body, mind, intellect, it is a spark of the essence. Therefore, it uses the body, mind, intellect to act and wrongly thinks that it is acting. It is the mind that is acting, it is the senses that is acting, it is the body that is acting, but the Jiva has identified itself. So look at the chart, you will know from the second column, there is an arrow going leftward, the leftward towards the first column. So when the Jiva identifies itself with the first column material self, that is a mistake. That mistake happens from time immemorial. It is a beginningless ignorance. So Vedanta says this leftward identification of the jiva with the material self, with the BMI, is the problem. Because once it identifies itself with the BMI, whatever the BMI does, good, bad, indifferent, whatever it does, it goes to the jiva. Therefore, the jiva has to be born again. Jiva goes through various births and deaths because of this wrong identification towards the left. So Vedanta says, identify yourself, let the jiva identify itself rightward, towards the right. So look at the look at further down. You see the arrow going towards the third column. So when the second column jiva identifies with the jivatma inside, right? That is what the Vedanta tells us. Krishna tells this in his own mischievous way. Chapter 5, Shloka 13. Don't go about, try to look at the Shloka now. Simply note 5:13. Sarvakarmani manasa sanyasya aste. Sarvakarmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi. All actions, renouncing all actions, sarvakarmani sanyasya manasa, by the mind, sarvakarmani manasa sanyasya aste sukham vashi. He is sitting happily in the body. Navadore pure dehi, in the 9-gated body, I am sitting, the person, the jiva. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasya aste. Now look, I sit in a chair, I sit in a sofa. We do that. But do we ever say, I sit in my body? No, we never say that. I sit in my body, because you know why we don't say that? Because we do not distinguish between ourselves and our body, BMI. We distinguish ourselves between ourselves and the chair. Therefore, I sit in the chair, you say. But we never say, I sit in the body. Krishna says, Navadvare pure dehi sarva karmani manasa sanyasya sukham aste vashi. The one who has controlled his senses, that person happily sits in the body, which means the body is different from us. The body is different from us. Because we never distinguish ourselves from the body, we do not say, I sit in the body. But actually, we are sitting. The eye is sitting in the body. Sarvakarma. So this is the one place where Krishna mentions this so beautifully, cryptically. Then, if you sit in the body with all the actions renounced, I am not the doer, I am not the experiencer, like that, then no bondage or karma will attach to the jiva. And that is the correct identification as shown in this chart. Of course, the final identification is between the Atma, the Jivatma, all the Jivatmas, is only one Atma, and the Supreme. That is Mahavakya Tati Tvam Asi, Aham Brahma Asmi. Like that. So that is the chart of the self. Arjuna knows all this because he has studied under Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, all these people. He has studied all the Shastras, but he forgot it, everything at the right moment. When he looked at all the people there with whom he has to fight, he was overexcited. So he is totally confused. So in order to win over Arjuna, Krishna uses 5 arguments. Krishna uses 5 arguments. I call them A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Argument 1, philosophical argument. What is the philosophical argument? This is the answer to his excitement. Remember, he had 5 problems: excitement, compassion, and ego, and what else? And there are 5 things, right? Right. Gandivam samsate hasta, excitement. Kripaya paraya vishnaha, compassion. Yetan narantamicchami, that is ego. Yasya yasyan nishchitam bhushitam me, dilemma. Dharma samuda chetaha, total confusion. 5 things. So for each one, Krishna gives an answer. First one, philosophical argument. This is the answer to his excitement. Curb your attachment, he says. Sense control is the answer. Sense control means yoga sadhana. He is going to tell this to Arjuna and also tell us. Yoga sadhana. Remember, you are not the body. Just how I told you. So, raga dvesho yudasya. 18th chapter. He summarizes everything. He says this. You know, dhyana yoga paro nityam raga dvesho yudasya. Indriyani indriyartebhyaha nigrihitani, 2nd chapter. Yaktva karma phala sangam, all the results, all the fruits of actions, karma phala, and the attachment to that, renounce it. Yaktva karma phala sangam. So that is the philosophical argument. Arjuna, you don't worry about this. The only what dies is only the BMI. The Jiva does not die. It goes to another thing, and so on. Second argument, Swadharma argument, duty. This is the answer to his dilemma. Whenever you are in dilemma, the answer is do your duty. So tell me what is good for me. Krishna says, do your duty. Niyatam kuru karma tvam, 3rd chapter. Niyatam kuru karma tvam. So whatever is prescribed for you, niyatam, do that action. Mukta sangha samachara, do it well. Do it well. We are going to tell you how to do it perfectly, presently. So that is efficiency in action. So this is the Swadharma argument. So philosophical argument, Swadharma argument. Third actually is, when he is overwhelmed with compassion, actionlessness argument. What is actionlessness? Hey, you are not the doer. You are not the doer. Your body, mind, intellect is the doer. You are not your body, your mind, your intellect. You are the real self. So you are not doing anything. So this leads to Brahmanya adaya karmani, says the 5th chapter. Brahmani adaya karma, all the actions, transfer it to Brahman. You are not doing anything. So jnanagni dabdha karmani, by that thought, by that knowledge, jnanam, all the actions are consumed. This leads to a Brahma Bhava. Brahma Bhava. Everything is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. So that is equanimity. Samatva Buddhi. There are 24 slokas in the Gita at various places on Samatvam. It starts with Sukadukke Samekatva, Labha Labho Jaya Jayo, and so on. It goes. All the way, various places there are talks about what is Samatva Buddhi, why is it important. Of course, the major sloka is Brahmarpanam Brahma Kavi, 4th chapter. So, 3 things I have told you now. Philosophical argument, Swadharma argument, actionlessness argument. 4th argument. This is to answer, contend with his ego. I am not going to kill them, as if you have all the control, as if you have everything in your control. No, there is a God above. Therefore, for the ego play, the answer is undivided faith in the Supreme. That is why bhakti comes. Bhakti comes in the Gita. Nothing is your action. All actions are his. Of course, later he is going to, no, not his. It is your own prakriti. It is your own prakriti. Arjuna's prakriti. And he says that very forcefully in the last chapter, 18th chapter. If you don't listen to me, you are going to perish. By, I am quoting the 18th chapter, 51, 52 or something. If you resort to your ahankara, yadi ahankaram asritya nayotsya iti manyase, I will not fight. If you think like that, mithyaisha vyavasaya te, this is mithya. This will not happen. This is false. Prakriti is tomne okshadi. There is a prakriti inside you, your own nature, swabhava. You are a Kshatriya born, you have a Swabhava which has come to you from your previous Janmas, Prakriti. That Prakriti will drive you. You cannot overcome it. So that is the fourth argument. Therefore, have an undivided faith in the Supreme. That is why Bhakti, that is why chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then there is the fifth. When you are in total helplessness, right? Total helplessness. That is the argument for Sharanagati. This is the answer for total helplessness. Dharma Sammuda Chaita. Krishna's answer, Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. I think it is 62 or something. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Deshe Gunasishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudani Maya Tameva Sharanam Gacha. That one you resort to as your last Sharanam. So these 5 arguments brings Arjuna back. This can go now. I will tell you when to get the others. So now they say Krishna does not say this is for you, this is for the posterity. He uses only Arjuna as an object of attention, but actually he is teaching you and me. So what are the 5? He is teaching the same 5 to us, 5 teachings. 5 teachings for posterity, you and me. So what is the first? Yoga sadhana. So I call them U1, U2, U3, U4, U5. Upadesha 1, Upadesha 2, like that. First, Upadesha 1, what is it? Sense control or yoga sadhana. Tasmat Twamindriyanyadav Niyamya Bharatarshava, 3rd chapter. Therefore, where to begin? Start there. That is the first thing. Yes, there are many questions. Many people ask me, sir, I understand all that, but how should I begin? Where should I begin? First beginning is Tasmat Twamindriyanyadav Adav. In the beginning, you start with controlling the senses. Krishna saying, Tasmat Twamindriyanyadav, 3rd chapter, 41st sloka. Sir, I am trying. It's not possible. Abhyasena Kaunteya. 6th chapter, he says. When Arjuna himself asked this question, sir, it is very difficult. And Krishna says, Abhyasena Kaunteya Vairagyena Chakrityate. Abhyasa, Vairagya. Abhyasa is practice. Vairagya is dispassion. Slowly get away from everything that is material. Abhyasena kaunteya vairagyena chakrityate. In fact, Ramana Maharshi, at the last moment, he was going to pass away. He was going to leave the body. People knew it. There were people devotees standing next to him. So they asked him, Maharshi, certainly we are very unhappy that you are leaving us, but give us a last message. And you know what last message he gave? Abhyasa, abhyasa, abhyasa. Practice, practice, practice. He said abhyasa 3 times. That's all. Everything you have to practice. Chittiramam kaipalakam. There's a Tamil proverb. Chandamilum napalakam. So practice. Right? Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto dhrityatmanam niyamya cha. These are all various places Krishna says repeatedly why sense control is important, how it has to be done. 18th chapter, 6th chapter, 3rd chapter, everywhere. Vivikta sevi lagva, dhyana yoga paro nityam, vivikta sevi lagvashi. Last chapter he summarizes everything, and there he says, vivikta sevi lagvashi, how you have to practice. So abhyasena cha kaunteya vairagyena cha grishyate is a fundamental quote from the Gita. Buddhya, of course, you have to use your intelligence. Without your buddhi, nothing will happen. Because the mind can receive things and send it to the different compartments. But more than that, it does not do anything. Buddhi distinguishes good and bad, right and wrong. So, buddhya vishuddhaya yukto. So, you have to purify your buddhi, purify your mind. Usually people say, actually they mean buddhi. Purify your buddhi. Vivikta sevi lagvashi, ahankaram balam darpam, kamam krodham parigraham. All these things shall be renounced. Ahankara, bala, darpa. Darpa is arrogance, everything. So that is number 1, yoga sadhana. And it is not something like you start on this day and finish on this day. No, all the life. Throughout the life, you have to keep on doing the yoga sadhana, keep on doing the practice. Okay, that is U1. U2, teaching to us. Krishna is teaching us now. Krishna is also teaching Arjuna the same thing. But sometimes he uses the language that clearly it is meant to us. Number 2, U2, Brahma Bhava, equanimous view. Equanimous view, Samatva Buddhi. Sukhadukke samayakatva, that is where it starts. Between happiness and unhappiness, when being gain and loss, you must have an equal mind. That is how it starts. And then it goes on. Samadukka sukha svastaha, samaloshtasma kanchana, tulya ninda, tulya priya priyodhira, 14th chapter. There is a lot of such slokas. We will come to that later. So then, equanimous view, that is number U2, Upadesha 2. Upadesha 3 is Bhakti, undivided faith in the one absolute. Advaita Bhavana Sahita Bhakti. Bhakti. So there are so many things whom do I worship. First of all, understand that all these things are only different dresses of the same Supreme. That the dress word is used by Kanchi Mahaswami. He says, different deities are only different dresses, different acts, just like a drama actor. So he assumes various roles, Vishnu, Shiva, Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, like that. Right? So undivided faith in that one absolute, and that should be Advaita Bhavana Sahita Bhakti. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Therefore, you are supposed to be thinking of him, be aware of him all the time. All the time. Ananya, no other distraction. The mind, of course, will get distracted. But at the bottom, the mind keep this. You know that when we are doing something else, We also remember, keep something at the bottom of our mind. We are working in our office, but our spouse has told us something to do, something. So that is at the bottom of the mind. It's there. We are remembering it, but we are not outwardly remembering it. It is there. Like that, God's presence must be remembered all the time at the bottom of the mind. So, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, even a wrongdoer, Abhishek Suduracharo, Bhajate, in the 9th chapter, he says, even a wrongdoer, if he thinks of me and then starts remembering me all the time, he is good. He's on the right track. Sadhureva Samantavya, Samyak Vyavasito Hisaha, he is on the right track. So that is U3. U1 is Abhyasa, sense control. U2 is equanimous view, Samabha, Brahmabhava. U3 is undivided faith, Bhakti. What is U4? Efficient discharge of all your duties, Karma Yoga. U4. Efficient discharge through a yajna attitude. Yajna bhavana sahita swadharma charanam. As a swadharma, you have certain duties. Do it as a yajna. Yajna means with dispassion. Apalakansha, not going after the results. I am not the doer attitude. I am not the experiencer attitude. So that is yajna. Yajna arthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. 3rd chapter, 9th shloka is a major shloka. You do all your actions as a yajna. Sarva karmanya visada. In the 18th chapter also, when he summarizes, he says this. All the actions you do, but do it thinking of me, leaving it to me, leaving them to me. So that is yajna bhavana sahita swadharma charanam, number 4, U4. U5, surrender. Sarvadharman parityajya, total surrender when you are totally helpless. Ishvara sarvabhutanam, Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati, he is here. Tameva Sharanam Gacha. So that is U1 to U5, or now you put the chart 2. U1 to U5, or the 5 teachings of Krishna to all of us. I am now showing you those U1 to U5. This chart is going to be very important today and tomorrow, today for the rest of the time, and tomorrow for the whole day. We are going to have this chart. We are not going to talk about that. This, in fact, is the way you reach the peak of the Gita. What does the chart say? 9 ways of assimilating and practicing the teaching of the Gita. So there are 9. Where are the 9? I have numbered them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 means the whole first column. 2 means the whole second column. 5 means the whole 5th column. And then 6 is a horizontal thing. 6, the whole horizontal white thing, that is number 6. The whole horizontal 7, number 7. Then 8. Then number 9, bottommost horizontal. So within the horizontal thing, there are 5 or 6 things. We will explain that at the right time. So this chart shows 9 ways of assimilating and practicing. Vertical columns, 5 columns, and horizontal rows, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4. 5 plus 4 is 9. Number 9 is Advaita way of living. Number 9. That's the most difficult. Most difficult. First of all, to understand it is most difficult, Advaita. Also to follow it. Now, the thing goes by decreasing order of difficulty. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Decreasing order of difficulty. So where should we start? Number one, Karma Yoga. Number one is Karma Yoga. Number one means everything contained in the column numbered one. Column numbered one. What is Karma Yoga? We know that the entire 4 chapters are devoted for that. It is the use of your intelligence, buddhi, to develop certain attitudes. Remember, whole Sanatana Dharma is a question of attitudes. Attitudes. Right? So you have to have the right attitude. Whatever you do, right attitude. Bhava samsuddhihi. He says that in the, I think, 16th chapter. Bhava samsuddhihi ityetati. So use your intelligence. Activation of and monitoring by buddhi, monitoring by buddhi. So buddhi is the most important thing, is needed for all that follows. So that is why Krishna extols buddhi yoga very much. Durena Chavaram Karma, Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya, 2nd chapter. Durena Chavaram Karma, Buddhi, you see, Buddhi Yoga, the use of the buddhi, the yoga that is done through the buddhi is far different, far higher than ordinary karma. Durena Chavaram Karma, Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya. And again in the 10th chapter, Tesham Satata Yuktanam, Tesham Bhajatam Mahipurvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Whoever does these, whoever does always remember me and worship me, I give them the Buddhi Yoga. Remember, the law, that the whole of Sanatana Dharma, there is no place where the Lord gives you bhakti. People, you used to ask this question, sir, when if the Lord is all powerful, why can't he give me bhakti? He does not give you bhakti. He tells you so many things, but you have to go by your own heart as a bhakta to him. You have to go to him. So the Krishna says, I make his buddhi yoga. I give him buddhi yoga, not bhakti. Buddhi yoga means to think properly, to think the Gita way. Buddhi yoga. That is why Krishna extols buddhi yoga in 249, Durena Chavaram Karma, chapter 10, Tesham Satata Yuktanam, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, Dadami Buddhi Yogam, 10th chapter. Again, last chapter, Chetasava Sarva Karmani, Mai Sanyasya Matparaha, Buddhi Yogam Upashitya. He uses buddhi yoga only 3 times. These 3. 2nd chapter, 10th chapter, 18th chapter. He uses that. Buddhi yoga is very important. Buddhi, in fact, the importance of buddhi has been emphasized by my father in his book, Gita Amrita Mahodadhi. In his book, in the 15th chapter, almost in the first 2 or 3 slokas. Because those slokas say, the tree of samsara, is going like this. You have to cut the tree asunder and rise. Cut the tree, it says in 15th chapter. And so at that point, my father talks a lot about why buddhi yoga is important. Buddhi, because it is the buddhi that has decided that all the samsara vriksha tree is only in the mithya. You have to cut it asunder and rise. So buddhi is important, buddhi yoga. Now, so what does this buddhi yoga say? Detach yourself from the attachment to the fruits of actions. Aphala kancha. God will take care of the fruits of all actions. It is what you are acting. You are not acting. Your senses are acting by the activation by the monitoring by Prakriti, activated by Prakriti. So there are 5 characteristics of Karma Yoga. We are talking about the Karma Yoga now. Yes, number one there. So there are 5 characteristics. What are the 5 characteristics? Detachment. Nothing belongs to you. Nothing belongs to you. Right? Detachment. Detachment from the fruits of the actions. Dedication. Sacrifice. Sacrifice is a very important constituent of Karma Yoga. Unselfishness. Do not think that the fruits will come to me. No, no. It's only for the body mind. So detachment, dedication, sacrifice, and unselfishness are the first 4. Sacrifice and unselfishness can be further dichotomized into duty, discipline, devotion. Everything starts with a D. Duty, discipline, devotion. Actually, there are 5 Ds. Duty, discipline, devotion, detachment, and dedication. These are the 5 things, constituents of Karma Yoga done the Yajna way. So 5 Ds: duty, discipline, devotion, detachment, and dedication. Niyatam karma kuru. Niyatam karma kartavyam. Duty. In fact, there is a interesting shloka in my Subhashita book, which I am preparing. That shloka says, Kartavyam eva kartavyam pranaikkantagatairapi akartavyam na kartavyam pranaikkantagatairapi. Even when somebody is at your throat, you will have to do your duty. Even when somebody is at your throat, you should not do what you should not be done. So kartavyam eva kartavyam, akartavyam na kartavyam. That shloka is very interesting. So that is duty. Niyatam. Niyatam karma kartavyam. He says it in the 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, again in the 18th chapter. Emphasizes it. Discipline. Duty, discipline, devotion. Discipline. Discipline is yata chittendriyaha. Yata means controlled. Chitta, mind. Indriyaha, all the senses. Yata chittendriyaha. Control of the senses and the mind. There is one place in the Gita, when he, in the 6th chapter, when he explains how to meditate, he uses the word yata chittendriya kriyaha. There, control the mind, control the indriyas, control your action. Even the limbs should not be, people are swinging their legs like this. No, no, no. Even that has to stop during meditation. That is why. Anyway, so yata chittendriyaha, sense control. Number 3, devotion. So I thought of duty, discipline, devotion. Devotion is bhakti, shraddha bhakti. You know what it is. Detachment. Detachment is apalakanksha, not seeking out the desire, the fruits of the action. Naham karta, I am not the doer. It is all the body, mind, intellect that is doing. I means that, in the chart of the self, the third column, Atma. So that is the I. He is not doing any action. The 3rd column, Atma, does not do any action. Everything is done by the 1st column, material self. The jiva unnecessarily thinks that it is doing the action. No. The jiva should say, I am with the Atma. So when that is done, naham karta, naham bhokta. These are detachment. Dedication. What is dedication? The English word dedication is a weak word. Dedication simply means a vote of thanks. But that is the English word. The correct Sanskrit word for dedication is arpanam. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि अर्पणम्. Arpana is the correct word. It includes a surrender there, a concept of surrender. So I just told you the Karma Yoga has 5 Ds: duty, discipline, devotion, detachment, dedication. It so happens in Tamil there are 5 words, all starting with Ka. Kadamai, duty. Kattuppadu, discipline. Kadavutpatru, devotion. Kallamai, Kallamai is what? That detachment. You don't think that anything is yours, therefore you don't steal it. Kallamai. Kanniyam is dedication. Dedication. So the 5 Kas in Tamil. The concept of yajna in the Gita, 3rd chapter is and 4th chapter talks highly about yajna. He again takes it up in the 18th chapter. Yajna artha karmana anyatra is the famous key shloka, chapter in number 9 in chapter 3. The Vedanta meaning of yajna is, yajna means all the 5 things. The Vedanta meaning is higher, deeper. The inward transmutation of the individual consciousness. What is the individual consciousness? Jivatma. You know, in the chart of the self, it is the 3rd column, Jivatma. The inward transmutation of the individual consciousness to regain its oneness with the universal consciousness. The Jivatma and the Paramatma are one. This transmutation and the oneness, this is the purpose of yajna. That is the meaning of yajna. So whatever you do, you are doing it only as a dedication to God. As I told you, the dedication English word is not enough. It is arpanam. Then it will have all the connotations. Yatkaroshi yadashnasi, chapter 9, sloka 27. He says, Tat kurusva madarpanam. Everything dedicated to me is that is no other English word. Therefore we use it. But I told you, arpanam is the correct word. So arpanam has 3 connotations. What are the 3 connotations? Accepting suffering for the cause of your deity of dedication. When you dedicate, there is a deity. That deity may be a deity of the Deva kind, or your father, your mother, your nation, Bharat Mata, anything. So accepting suffering for the cause of your deity of dedication, that is number 1. Not doing what your object of dedication would not want you to do. The mother sends a student to a college for his higher studies. So mother has certain expectations. So he should be remembering that his mother would not want him to do certain things and he should not do them. That is called dedication. Dedication to his mother means he should not do what his mother would not want him to do. He should do only those things what his mother wants him to do. So these 3, 1, 2, 3, accepting suffering, not doing what the deity of dedication would not want you to do, doing only all those things which the deity of dedication wants you to do. This is called arpanam. Ordinary dedication, English word, does not have all these things. Anyway, that is yajna. So the methodology, how to, you see, look at the, we are in the first column number, first karma, and you see there methodology shloka, Mai sarvakarmani avisada purvano madhyapadam, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jvaraham. So that is the methodology. What does it say? Mai sarvani karmani, all the actions. Mai sanyasya, Krishna is speaking. Mai sanyasya, myself, on myself, to myself, you renounce. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa, with all your heart, with the bottom of your heart, no just outward thing, but the bottom of your heart. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa, nirashi, no desires. Nirmamaha, no ahankar, no mamakar. Nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvara. Go and fight, he is telling Arjuna. So he is saying, you go and do your duty, go and do your work. Yudhyasva vigatajvara, no excitement, without the excitement. So that is the key shloka for Karma Yoga. So that explains the Karma Yoga, Karma part. There are 9 things I told you: Karma, Bhakti, Sharanagati, Yoga Sadhana, Brahma Bhava, and then 4 horizontal things, of which first is easy. That is how you start Karma. So that is where I am going to stop today, because tomorrow we will take the same chart and go through number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is the topmost. That is the peak. So at this point, I am going to thank you and ask you for questions if you have any.
Questions again. Can you read it from there?
Hello. Yes, Krishnamurti ji.
Ah,
Yes, thank you for this wonderful session. We have a couple of questions. So first question would be, you mentioned about Samatva Buddhi.
ah.
How to develop and maintain this Samatva Buddhi at all the times?
The question is how to develop the Samatva Buddhi all the time.
And also maintain it all the time.
And also maintain all the time. Most of the questions on the Gita, I'm going, what is it?
Why so many jivas need to be created?
No, he asked, he said the question. Why so, no, how the Samatva Buddhi? That is not, I don't see it here, but I will, Samatva Buddhi. For many questions on the Gita, I am going to give you Krishna's answer. Abhyasena kaunteya vairagyena cha grijyate. Everything has to be practiced. Nothing else. Krishna has given the answer already. In fact, Samatva Buddhi, he gives you various different ways. I will take you to the 14th chapter. The 14th chapter, yes. Yes. Samadukka sukha swastham samaloštashmakam chanaham. You see, Samatva Buddhi has, the question is about Samatva Buddhi. Samatva Buddhi is about things happening to us, equanimity about things happening to us, equanimity of objects, and equanimity of friends and not so friendly people, and then equanimity for ninda and ninda stuti, ninda praise and censure, and then honor and dishonor. 5 different facets of equanimity. What are the 5 of them? Samadukha sukha. I am looking at 24th sloka, 14th chapter. Samadukha sukha swastham, dukkha sukha, happiness and unhappiness. Sir, how? It's not difficult. Yes, start slowly. You walk from your house. As you step out of your house, your toe hits something and it hurts. It hurts. You have to bear it. Sama dukkha. You cannot do anything. You were walking and your toe hurt something. Your toe hit something and your toe hurts. So this is where you have to start. It's so simple. This is where you have to start. Okay, this too will pass. Agamapayinaha anityam sam stitikshasva. Very beginning, he said, right? So you start from there and then slowly develop. Then raise it to more serious things, sukha and dukkha. So that is equanimity with respect to happenings. Equanimity with respect to things, objects. Loshta, Ashma, Kanchana. Loshta is clod of earth. Ashma is just a brick. Kanchana, gold. Ramana says, Ramana was able to say, I don't distinguish between them. Sama, Loshta, Ashma, Kanchana. Yeah, that, of course, that's a great thing. But you have to go to it by slow practice, by starting with smaller things and reaching that. Then, so equanimity with respect to happenings, equanimity with respect to things, then equanimity with respect to friend and foe. Tulya Priya Priyaha. I am looking at the 14th chapter, shloka number 24. Tulya Priya, Priya Apriya. Who is friendly to you? Who is not friendly to you? You must have equal attitude. Everything is an attitude, I told you. Tulya Nindatma Samsuti. Somebody censures you, somebody praises you. Well, you can now see how difficult it is slowly. Tulya Nindatma Samsuti. That also equally. Mana Apamana Yostulyaha. Mana Apamana Alya. Tulyo Mitra, honor and dishonor. Tulyo Mitra Aripaksha, Mitra Aripaksha. Our side, opposite side. Sarvarambha Parityagi. Therefore, everything, you be detached from everything. Gunatitas, that is the one who is supposed to have transcended the gunas. Gunatita, that is the 14th chapter. So it's a question of practice. Slowly, you have to start with small things and then think about it. Buddhi Yoga now. Let me look at the next question.
Okay, this is regarding the chart 1. Why so many jivas needed to be created?
What is the question?
Why so many jivas need to be created?
Why so many jivas needs to be created?
Yes.
The question is more simply, why creation? It's not so. Why creation? Why did this God, he should be just like that. Why did he create you and me? Why did he create you and me? Tell me. No answer. You see, why creation? He created you and me so that we may do something better than last Janma and rise to him. But why creation at all? He should have simply kept quiet. There is no answer. In the whole of the Vedas, Sanatana Dharma has certain unanswerable questions. Why creation? This is a fundamental rationalist question which has no sense in it. There is no answer. Why creation? No answer. So that is the answer to this.
Okay. The next question is, what is the definition of mithya? Is it temporal unreality? Anything that is real today may be unreal tomorrow. Should we consider them contextually real, or are they related? Are they treated as mithya?
This person who raised the question must have studied some philosophy and has put the question in such a complicated way. That is what it is. You see, mithya means not permanent. Anything that is not permanent is mithya. Your movie happenings is mithya. Movie happenings is mithya. Your sufferings and happiness is mithya because they go away. Agama payi, what comes and goes is mithya. So our life is mithya because the life is not permanent. We, you and I and everybody, every universe, stars, galaxy, everything is mithya. because they all disappear sometime. So that is Mithya.
Okay.
Mithya definition is not permanent.
Okay. So the next question is, the action comes from Jiva. How does one know that action is right or wrong? For Arjuna, Krishna himself was there. When we are in dilemma, be it for any action for the sake of Vyavaharika Dharma, should there be an inaction or action?
Whether action is right or wrong, it is buddhi that decides. That is why buddhi is extolled high, sky high. You have to purify your buddhi by chanting Bhagavan's names, by doing good to others, by having a samatva buddhi. All these things purifies your mind. Buddhi, how do you become a successful mathematician? How do you become a successful scientist? Slowly you train your buddhi, right? Your teacher gives you something and then you train. So like that, the guru tells you something, Shastras tell you something. Use that, think about it, analyze yourself. Analyze yourself. For analyzing yourself, the Lord has got a lot of proposals, Krishna, in the Gita, in the 18th chapter. Slowly, your whatever your buddhi, dhriti, action, karma, doer, what is sattva, what is rajas, what is tamas. So he has given you various. So analyze yourself, and slowly try to improve. That is it.
Okay. The next question is buddhi a separate from mind? Without mind, buddhi cannot be imagined to exist even. So is buddhi not mind itself?
Mind is like a big office. Mind is the receptionist. Comes, goes, comes, goes. Simply he transfers it. He transfers something to buddhi. Mind transfers something to chittam. Mind transfers something to ahankar. Mind transfers something to will. So chittam, ahankar, buddhi, will. There are four things, and mind. So all of these things are together spoken of as the mind. So those of you who have got my book, you have got a whole picture there about the mind and the various channels, the bad channels, and the only two good channels are Shraddha and Bhakti. It is the buddhi has to tell the will to receive everything, take everything through the good channels and not through the bad channels. Buddhi has to do this distinguishing part. It's the buddhi. Buddhi is within the mind, of course. Mind is only inert. Mind is matter. But buddhi acts. Buddhi tells the will to go here, to go here. Right? So everything, the whole Shastra, everything is addressed to the will. Satyam vada dharmam chara. Whom are you talking to? You are not talking to the mind. Mind is not listening. Mind is only receptionist. You said Satyam vada, I will tell him to the buddhi. So Satyam vada dharmam chara. These are injunctions to the willpower. Your willpower is free. Your willpower. So your buddhi has to focus and channelize the things to the right decision and tell the will to do this and not that. Do this and not that. That is how.
Okay. Here is a question. How do we reconcile the strong feeling of patriotism towards our desha or love towards our family members and wanting of their well-being, good health, etc.? Whereas Advaita probably asks one to transcend all these boundaries.
Okay. Some years ago, I was talking on the Gita to an audience of only housewives, about 20 or 30 of them, Madras. It's the same thing, all these things, attachment, etc., etc. After 3 or 4 days, I talked for 18 days. After 3 or 4 days, the ladies, before I started, told me they were all housewives, only women, no men. So they asked, sir, can we ask a question? Yes. You are talking about detachment. You have to be detached. This, oh, everyone, not only you, Chenmayananda says, this man says, everybody says detachment, detachment, detachment. We housewives, we have got a husband, we have got children, we have got father, we have got mother, we have got grandchildren, we have to pour affection on them, we have to take care of them. Do you want us not to be affectionate to them? Do you want us not to do the right things for them? What do you want? What do you mean by detachment? Or do you mean to say that you wait until you become 68, 60, and then you can do all this? This question they asked. Thank goodness. I remembered Kanchi Mahaperiyava's answer to this. He says, beautiful. In fact, I have quoted it in my book. Kanchi Mahaperiyava says, aha, that is the question. You have affection towards your husband, your children, your father-in-law, mother-in-law, mother, father, everybody. Yes, do have affection. Do whatever you have to do for them. Pour your affection infinitesimally, infinitely. Pour your affection. No, I have no objection. Gita does not say, don't pour affection. But you know what Gita says? Kanchi Mahaperiyava speaking. You know what Gita says? Pouring your affection to your children. Listen, important. Pouring your affection to your children. You should not expect anything in return. You should never expect anything in return. He is going to take care of me later. He is going to do this to me. He will do this to me. No, no, no. Throw away all that. That complete absence of expectation of any rewards or replies from your pour all your affection. This is what Kanchi Periyava has said. So that is the answer to this question also.
Okay, that was wonderful, just wonderful. Yeah, yeah. We have another question. While performing the basic karma yoga, how do we perform the bhokta and karta?
Naham bhokta, naham karta. Tomorrow we will come to that point, because the jiva, which is thinking that it is doing the action, no, it is not doing the action. It is the body, mind, intellect that is doing the action. So jiva has to identify itself with the Atma on the other side. And if we do that, then you become the Naham Karta, Naham Bhokta will operate. We will talk about it tomorrow.
Okay, and we have a final question. Physical suffering due to long-term diseases, how can such person accept suffering, or are there any sadhanas to practice so that the person can follow 5 Ds, that is duty, discipline, dedication, detachment, devotion?
See, we suffer because of our prarabdha, previous karma. First we have to know this. Suffering does not come from the next man or that man or this man. No. Suffering comes to you because of your prarabdha. Sir, so what do I do? You have to suffer it. There is nothing else. When you suffer, you remember the Lord. If you are totally faithful and devoted to the Lord, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Yajana Patipasate Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yogatshemam Vaham Yagam. He takes care of your suffering, provided you are Ananyas Chintayantaha. But don't expect, sir, I am waiting for my bus to go to my office for the past half an hour. Every bus is coming full, I am not getting a seat. Now, the Lord cannot help you. This is your prarabdha. You have to Agama apayino anityam titichasva. You have to bear it. So there is no sadhana. The sadhana is only remembering the Lord, chanting his names, and always in his service or service to others. Okay.
Yes. I have a question. This is regarding the shloka Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. For this, Shankara has written the Bhashya as Ananyaha Apratak Bhutaha and continues to say Chintayantaha Mam E Janaha. So, how do we become that Ananyaha Chintayantaha? So, this is again by Abhyasa only, or how do we?
Of course, by Abhyasa, but I have in my book, among the various appendices, I have one appendix which says how to remember the Lord all the time. There is a whole chapter in the appendix. I think people should read it. I have given examples of some practical experiences, how it can be done. I don't want to do it now, but let them read it.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
So thanks everybody. Shall I close it now?
Yeah, viewers, tomorrow we have again at 5 o'clock, Krishnamurti ji will continue the session. If you have not registered for tomorrow's session, please register now. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Krishnamurti ji. It was a wonderful session.
Swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha gobrahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam lokah samastas sukhino bhavantu. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.